So I've always wanted to do some modification on my hooks, chiefly to get some grip going on the outside of the hook here where it's smooth and made of stainless steel. I could use this for using smartphones, tablets, or anything that required grip. A friend of mine recommended I go and see a guy called Gavin at Robots and Dinosaurs, which is in Meadowbank. So today we're going to go check it out. I'm taking with me a small selection of old hooks, even some peculiar ones I've never used. Hopefully I can leave one with Gav to work on after today. I'm also taking the man behind the wheel and the A camera, Jono LaGrice.
Drop that, yeah, feel the funk, y'all. Yeah, feel the funk, y'all. Yeah, you lay back in the cut. What's up, what's up? From Alpha to Omega, VHS to Beta, PlayStation to Sega, my skill is still greater. The sickest thing since BD, wicked like VG. Live my life crooked like the left finger on ET.
So I'm here in Meadowbank, and we're here at Robots and Dinosaurs, which is somewhere in this complex here. God knows where. A lot of massage parlors. Maybe not today. There is no entrance. Zodiac Pizzas. Gavin.
Yep.
Hey, it's Hooky, man.
So where the roundabout is?
Yep.
Head towards the roundabout and curve around the side of the building. There's a car park there.
Hey, Jono. Robots and Dinosaurs is a community hack space for engineers and people who know way more shit than I do to work on projects, brainstorm, collab, play games, all while sharing the costs of some tools and the place they're housed. The kinds of people who walk through Bunnings and actually know what everything is. The man I'm talking with today is one of its founders, Gavin Smith, a robotics engineer and part of the furniture here. Not that there's much furniture.
Like, you remember like 10 years ago, touchscreens were kind of crap?
Yes.
And that's because it was a resistive layer. So it was two things, and when you deform them, they can kind of, there's like a partially conductive material and you squish it,
Yep.
and then suddenly the resistance goes down in that area. And that relied on physically deforming the screen to make that happen. You pushed them hard and they didn't quite register and they weren't very accurate. Nowadays, the glass is actually kind of conductive just underneath the surface in a big array. And it looks for something that electrically behaves like a big squishy wet thing, like a finger. So if you come along with something which is pure metal, it is not necessarily going to work correctly, whereas something which is a bit more capacitive will. So it may be a case of if we can just electrically mimic a finger a little bit better,
yeah,
you'll have a better time. Let's play around with different materials and see what makes it work.
So we tried a various host of materials, including heat-sealed rubber and spray-on plastic that comes in a can. Something that feels like it should be more useful at a fetish party than on Gav's iPad Pro.
There's people that have got sort of electric prosthetics that are like a silicone surface, and the trick to make them work with the touchscreen is to put a layer of conductive paint on the top. We've got the rubber gloves and we cut them off and just put some metallic paint on there. They are not actually working with the surface, but after measuring them on the multimeter, they're not super conductive. So I might try that again with some better conductive paint.
Then Gav decided to hook me up to his multimeter to test my resistance. Luckily, I still have my eyebrows. Turns out I'm more conductive than the average person. Perhaps I should head an orchestra.
So one thing we can try is, this is Pinky Seal, which is a silicone rubber, and it casts very, very quickly. So it'll be finished in 20 minutes. So what I want to do is, we're going to do a casting experiment with the Pinky Seal. And I want to try two different mixtures, one with some aluminium powder inside it. We didn't have any proper aluminium powder, but it turned out right beneath the saw there was a whole bunch of aluminium shavings, so we're going to try that as a proxy. And the second is just the pure material by itself. We'll put a stainless rod down the middle of it, and I'll just divide the mold into two.
waiting for the pinky seal to dry, it was back to the drawing board. Literally. Even though my front-on sketches of hooks resemble more fallopian tubes than they do prosthetics. I eventually resorted to the iPad Pro with Lightning Pencil, which had a very Minority Report vibe about it. The feeling of writing again with its old world romanticism meets a kind of tactile technology was an odd juxtaposition. It was increasingly obvious that the humble stylus was the key, and we had to find out how to exploit it.
So what do you think it is about this
Yeah,
that works so well on the iPad?
a very good question, because this works so effortlessly to move it. And the question is it working? Is it just the tip? Is it the rubber in the tip? Or is it the rubber in the tip as it's held by the person? And the way to test that. Okay. So does this still work as a, yeah, that doesn't work, but if I touch it, suddenly it works. So it's not just the insulative tip, it's the insulative tip capacitively coupled to a big squishy water-filled object that electrically looks like a human. So that looks like it's finished. Looks like it's fairly solid. That's about as solid as Pinky Seal gets.
I was just spreading to...
All right, so I'll break these molds apart. So this probably won't work, but we'll give it a try anyway. Let's see. No. Nope. Worth a try.
So what I might do is
Yep.
I'll leave you with these hooks.
Cool.
And then send me an email and I'll head back and then we'll try and fix it up.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks a lot.
Well, for today, the stylus pen retains its title as king of the kit when it comes to using smartphones with hooks. But stay tuned for part 2 once Gav has his gear together.